IP friends, welcome to episode 73 of IP series with your favorite podcast host Rita and Chinda. Now, if you missed the previous episode where I talked about how sports athletes can commercialize their name and likeness, how they can also delve into different sectors like the fashion industry, just kind of fuse their brand and monetize it. So that was what that episode was about. So check it out, guys. Now, if this is your first time listening to me on this podcast, I give an African bias or intellectual property story. So if you have a case you want me to analyze, if you have something you want to talk about, if you would want to also be a guest on my podcast, do send me an email to ipseriesInfo@gmail.com or a DM to ipseries_with_reader. So reader is spelled REEDAH. And for my returning listeners, you guys are the best. You guys are, I love you guys. Thank you for always supporting IP Series brand. Now let's get into today's story, which is about how you can register a distinctive sound. It's not an easy thing to do, trust me. So let me just tell you guys how we're going to go about this. So, my IP friends, today's throwback edition is about how you can trademark a sound. Is it easy? Is it difficult? How do you go about it? Most people just focus on names, logos, signs, symbols. But when you now talk about the non-conventional trademarks such as patterns, sound, colors, smell, holograms, and you're like, how am I going to do this? First of all, you need to work with your trademark attorney or a trademark firm or an intellectual property lawyer to guide you on what you need to do, because the main process for registering a trademark is that mark must be distinctive enough. It must be unique enough. It must not be a common or generic mark or sound or color or whatever it is. It also has to function as a source indicator, indicate that it is of a good quality. So when people hear or see the name or come in contact with it, they're like, yeah, I can really vouch for that. And then you might have like a loyalist and fan base or consumers that no matter what you do, they will always want to stick with you. So during the pandemic, news broke out that Armando Christian Pérez, aka the one and only bald-headed, sexy Pitbull, had registered his sound mark, his famous Grito year. I do enjoy his song, and I know that for every time that I hear that Grito yell in a song, I just assume that he's part of it or he was featured, but that's not the case, because now by registering his trademark, he can commercialize it. He has been doing that, but now he's like, yeah, I have the legal backing of the law to actually, just give people the license to use my Grito yell in their, whatever. And it was a good thing. A lot of people, the conversation was buzzing, articles were being shared. And because we're in the pandemic, I think it kind of got a lot of people's attention. So I first came across the publication via the New York University Law publication. And it was kind of interesting because, the title of the article was Reflections on Protecting Pitbull's Famous Grito. And I think that's something that entertainers in Nigeria or in Africa need to take note from. Like, you have a sound or a tag, even producers, you have something, you just say this one line phrase or something that whenever anyone hears it in the music, or it's being used in a commercial, or it's being synced for games or whatever it is. They're like, oh yeah, I can, ascribe this or link this to this person. And so I was like, okay, let's talk about intellectual property rights that are available for entertainers in Nigeria, or just generally, what are the intellectual property protection available for an entertainer? So I think one of the things that, based on our case study, I'll just start with, the most obvious type of intellectual property mechanism, which is trademark. Trademark, like I did like a kind of, I did a brief intro or summary stating what IP is, what trademark is rather. It kind of helps, trademark helps consumers and your fans identify your brand as an entertainer. Now it could be your name. Everyone knows Pitbull, but do they know that his name is Christian Armando Perez or Armando Christian Pérez? I mean, a lot of people don't know that. So when you hear, you're like, oh, I get, yeah. So that's what trademark is. Trademark basically protects words, name, phrases, slogans, colors, sounds, as is in our case study for today. It also helps distinguish Pitbull sound from other entertainers out there. And what is really unique about his sound mark is that it is the first time in the history of the United States, or it was the first time, that was in 2020. It was the first time in the history of the United States Patent and Trademark Office to issue a trademark for music, live video recording, entertainment services in the nature of live musical performances with the registration number. Now pay attention to this number. It's 5 million. So it's 5,877,076. But if you put the commas, it's going to read as 5,877,076. And then the next one is 5,877,077. And I was like, the USPTO has 5 million trademarks already. I mean, we need those numbers here in Nigeria so that people be encouraged to actually take trademarks seriously in all the industry, not just for the entertainers. And that kind of changed a lot in the music industry because Pitbull is well known for his famous yell or Grito, and it's said that it is a traditional Mexican shout. He went ahead to register it for recording and live performances, and he got the registration within 18 months. Now, I'm going to give you an example of other types of trademark that are, or sound mark basically, other examples of famous sound marks. If you've been a fan of Tarzan or you follow the Tarzan franchise, you always hear the yell consisting of a series of 10 sounds alternating between the chest and falsetto registers of the voice as follows. Now, the first one is that it's a semi-long sound in the chest register. It's also a short sound of an interval of 1 octave plus a fifth from the preceding sound, a short sound down a major third from the... I mean, I'm not a music student, so please, guys, bear with me. If you are a music student, I'm sure you will understand all of this. If you read music, I'm sure you understand. I just focus on the commercial aspect where I have to make money, so forgive me. But yeah, I was saying, then you have a short sound up a major third from the preceding sound, and then you have a long sound down 1 octave, plus a major third from the preceding sound, then a short sound up 1 octave from the preceding sound, and a short sound up a major third from the preceding sound, a short sound down a major third from the preceding sound, a short sound up a major third from the preceding sound, and finally a long sound down an octave plus a fifth from the preceding sound or more. So you can see how much it takes to actually give a detailed explanation about your trademark, especially as regards sound. Now, the next sound mark I'll be referring to is the MGM lion. You all know how a lion rolls. Forgive me, guys. Yeah. But the MGN lion roar. You see it in, when you're watching movies, it just pops up on your screen. Then you have the NBC chimes. You guys can just Google it. Because this is another breakdown saying it comprises of a sequence of a chime-like musical notes which are in the key of C and the sound notes of G, E, C, and the G being the one just below middle C, the E the one just below middle C, and the C being middle C, thereby to identify the applicant's broadcasting services. But yeah, I think that basically covers the examples that I listed out. Now, according to a write-up that I had read then by Candida J. Hilton K. and Booth, said that sound mark can be entertaining, it can be clever, it can be informative, and can also become famous, just like the famous Pitbull's Grito here. Okay, I'm not sure anyone's going to sue me right now, but this is just for educational purpose, guys. So, just for emphasis, instead of having to read out the spelling of the a-hole, so it's 7 E's, 1 Y, and 6 O's with an exclamation mark. So yeah. However, sound marks registration may be problematic in 2 ways. One, the ability to reduce a sensory mark to a written description may lead to an impression of the mark. Issues accepting a musical score of the mark and providing an image of the score in the database in addition to or instead of or a written description of the mark. So remember I said that actually doing the sound mark registration is difficult. I know last year we had the Fizzy Sound trademark case. Let me just verify and let you guys know. Okay, so in the case of Adang Metal Beverage Holding, they had applied to the European Union Intellectual Property Office to register the noise made by its fizzy drink cans, but the European General Court said that the sound made when a drink can is opened, followed by a silence of near about 1 second and a fizzy sound lasting somewhere around 9 seconds together doesn't qualify to be registered as a sound mark. So you see that other than making the application, you have to be very detailed as to what kind of sound you intend to register. So I had done a poll then and I asked, do you think it will be easy registering a sound mark in Nigeria? And 39% voted we ain't ready. And I wondered why. I mean, we have to give kudos to the trademark registry. They're doing okay, but not as expected. I know a few months back I'd seen a publication by the European IPO, that's the Intellectual Property Office, stating that they had cleared all their backlogs. The Nigerian Trademark Office is yet to even clear half of its backlog. I now have a couple of registrations pending since last year, so I guess I might understand why 39% said we ain't ready, 22% voted maybe, 26% said no. Oh my gosh. You guys should have faith, like seriously have faith. 30% said yes. Thank you guys. So and then I asked again, as an entertainer, do you own any trademark? Is it your name, your stage name? Do you have any trademark? Are you delving into any merchandise? Have you registered collections? 80% said no, and I was like, problemo. 50% said yes, which is kind of low. Not kind of, it is low. Trust me, guys, it is really low. I had also shared a link about Pitbull's Grito sound collection made by a fan, showcasing all the sound that had been sampled or used by different brands, actors, entertainers in their works, and it was a good listen. I like to listen to mashed up songs. I also have a thing for when I watch dance movies and say I like a particular dance scene, I can't the song kind of sticks in my head. Everything, I just have that picture, mental picture, visual picture in my head. So if I'm listening to the song where I come across the song somewhere, I just envision everything that was taking place in that particular scene. I remember all the dance moves, their reaction, all those things. And I'm like, yeah. Uh, but moving on, guys, moving on. So, my dear Nigerian entertainers or the entertainment industry, what can you guys really learn from this? First off, your sound must be really unique. You also have to have long-term goals in terms of how you want to commercialize that sound, which is what Pitbull has been doing for the last 10 years. So he said he started using that sound as early as 2002, and this registration was completed in 2020. He started using it when he was at the Miami club to alert his friend that trouble was about to start or was going to escalate to something. And then your sound has to be very unique or distinctive to be able to enjoy the total backing of the law, as we see in Pitbull case. Then right now, as it stands, Ganga, nobody can use his sound mark without his permission. Else, you just get a letter from his lawyers asking you to cease and desist, or you'll be taken to court, sued for infringement, and that's what someone who is proactive about his intellectual property should do. Now, in 2017, a song titled Mijante by J Balvin, featuring Willie Williams. Now, if you listen to the song from 0:52 seconds to 0:56 seconds, the sound was sampled, and a lot of people thought Pitbull. I thought Pitbull was in that song. So that's the impression people get when they hear your sound in music or TV commercials or series, TV shows. Hear it in video games. They're like, oh, right, and typical people are thinking, oh, he's made a lot of money from this. So imagine if the song by J Balvin and Willie Williams, they did not get a license. We know how that would have ended. I'm sure we would have seen a publication, but that did not happen. Now, because of people had that perception that Pitbull was part of it, it now led to them having like a remix of the song. So you can imagine how the song blew from just being from just having Pitbull on it. Now, I had asked again, do you think the Pitbull mark is unique enough? Thanks, Fulio. Oh my god. Because you guys shock me sometimes with your responses. 89% said yes. 5% said no. Anyways, 5% said maybe, which is like 99. And then the remaining 1% were like indifferent. And I was like, wahala. But yeah, moving on from trademark, now we're going to focus on another type of intellectual property that entertainers can also, you need to take seriously. Don't joke with it. And that's copyright and related right, because they apply to the entertainment industry and creatives basically. So it gives you automatic protection from the moment you create your work. However, it depends on your jurisdiction. Like in the US, I know thanks to the Gigi Hadid case, I always want to reference this case because it was like the foundation for intellectual property, photography dispute in digital era, where the court had held that if you do not register your copyright, you cannot come to court and sue someone for an infringement. In Nigeria, we apply the depository system. What that means is that while you enjoy automatic protection, it's advisable. The Nigeria Copyright Commission will advise you, like, see, just come and deposit a copy with us, pay stipend, deposit a copy with us, and just for database and documentation purpose, and you do that and you're good. Now, like I was saying, copyright grants you automatic protection of your original recordings, performance, broadcast of your work. The Copyright Act Section 22 provides that a performer shall have the exclusive rights to control his performance, such as performing, recording, broadcasting live, reproduction in any material form, and adaptation of the performance. So, when I was talking about Pitbull's registration, I said he did a trademark registration for recorded and live performances, you know, any entertainment service in nature of live musical performance. So that was what he did. So, and under the copyright, you are granted like what is called neighboring rights, to protect your intellectual property. So make sure you're talking with your entertainment lawyer or copyright lawyer or intellectual property lawyer or your intellectual property firm or your written any of these persons on the basics and foundation of copyright as it applies to musicians. Now, in 2019, there was this photo that someone had posted. I think, what's her name? She owns Coily Bible. Yeah, trying to remember, and it starts from D, but I can't really remember right now. I hope I do remember later. So there was a picture going on about how Ariana Grande is my baby. I love her. Yeah, she got paid 8 million naira, $8 million. Ha! Offense. She was paid $8 million for her Coachella performance. Whereas Beyonce negotiated a 4 million naira deal with exclusive rights, which she was able to sell. She also did the same thing with Netflix and made it a live album, which now generates extra revenue for her from her streaming rights. So you can imagine, as an artist or as an entertainer, you need to build and think like a business person, which is one of the reasons that Pitbull went ahead to register his famous deal. And trust me, guys, the entertainment industry is huge, and I'm glad that there are a lot of conversations, trainings, webinars, masterclass. Check out the Godwin Tom masterclass. You guys, or just follow his content. But if you have the funds to register for Godwin Tom's Music Business Africa Academy, Music Business Academy MBA, because I participated last year. I got a scholarship which was sponsored by One Mag in collaboration with Sterling Bank, and it was really insightful. Like taking through all the sectors, the subsectors in the entertainment industry, touring, publishing, and the rest of them. So just do that for your own sake, because there's money, and I know a lot of people want to have control, but you can't really enjoy that control if you don't understand the business and you don't understand what you have in front of you. So yeah, I'm digressing, but let me just move on to I was trying to give like a definition for what is considered to be performance. So a dramatic performance, a musical performance, a reading or recitation. You get to enjoy protection for all your musical performance for a period of about 50 years. So it starts reading from your lifetime. So if you live for 50 years or 70 years, 100 years, so as long as your life, you enjoy protection. And then 50 years after the first performance had taken place. So if you have access to, I'm not saying if you have, just check out, read section 26 and 27 of the Nigerian Copyright Act. And we're good to go. So next up, I'm talking about how copyright and related rights are managed for entertainers. I always make emphasis on the importance of consent, permission, authorization, getting a license, doing your IP due diligence, doing your investigation to make sure that you're not using anybody's work without their consent. And we've seen a lot of cases where someone's like, oh, this person used my work without my permission, or published my work without my permission, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you really want to do that and you've done your investigation and determine the chain of title basically is you've done your research and investigation to determine who is the right or the original author of that work or owner of that copyrighted work. Then you pay a fee, which is like a royalty or licensing fee. The process for doing all of this is called rights clearance. And like we always say, ignorance is an excuse. So I've talked about doing your due diligence and investigation before embarking on any project. So imagine someone in Nigeria samples or uses Pitbull's Grito here. I don't want to even think about it or blow it out of proportion, but guys, I mean, if you understand the concept of sampling and all the other musical terms, you will know that it's very important that you take your due diligence seriously. Now, in order for an entertainer to have a work-life balance, they kind of rely on the services of collective management organizations or collecting societies to help them. So they act as middlemen. They help receive the payments for the use of the work, and then I think um, give after some reports have been done, all this have done, give back to musical the musicians, basically give them back their royalties based on whatever was agreed. Currently in Nigeria, we have the Reproduction Rights Organization, which represent creators such as writers, photographers, and other visual creators, and composers and publishers. You have the Audiovisual Rights Society for audiovisual works in Nigeria. Then you have, I don't want to make a mistake. I want to say we used to have COSON, but that is what it is, because COSON has lost its license. COSON is a Copyright Society of Nigeria. They've lost their license to collect royalties on behalf of artists for musical work and sound recording in Nigeria. Now we have the MCSN. After a long battle, the court recently said COSON is not the right collecting society, but that's another story for another day. But I think I talked about it in like the very first and third episode, I think. Yeah, so check out the first and third episode of my podcast about CM. I also interviewed the great Mr. Mustafa, and he was very, very kind when I had him on my show. So yeah, I'm going to look up the episode so you guys can read up all on collective management organizations. So I've just verified that it's episode 1 and episode 22. So just check it out to learn more about collective management organization. And I think the collective management organization day is also coming up. So you guys be on the lookout for events that may be taking place in Africa or in Nigeria, wherever you are. Then I did a poll again. I was like, have you guys cleared the music work before using it? 67% said no. And I'm like, problem. Oh. Then 33 said yes. And I was like, good. And I asked again, has anyone ever come to me to say, I need your permission to use your work? So the sad thing is I got just 2 votes, and it was no. So I was like, we need to do a lot in terms of education, creating awareness, educating people on their intellectual property rights, why you need to obtain consent, permission, authorization before using the copyrighted work of another person. And I think so far the awareness is growing. We need to do a lot more. I know within the last 2 years we've seen a lot of cases come out from Nigeria, Africa, and globally as relates to copyrighted works. But then we'll keep pushing. I also did another poll and I was like, do you have like an IP portfolio? 67% said no, and I was like, still a lot of work to do. 33% said yes, but I had just 3 votes, which isn't enough to make a conclusion. Then I asked, have you ever considered commercializing your IP? I just got 1 vote, and it made me sad. But the answer was no. But moving on, what are the exclusive rights that a copyright owner is entitled to? So other than the moral right to prevent third parties from defaming or modifying your creativity, you also have the economic right to earn, to generate ego, EY, kudi, I think I've forgotten the other one. But you have the right to generate revenue, like make money through licensing arrangements, where you assign your rights to someone to make money for you, and you go into collaborations and partnerships, licensing arrangement, sync, cross license, whatever it is. You also have the right as an artist to perform your work in public. If you recall the Timmy Dakolo case, I think sometime in May, I was like, oh, you guys are using my song without your consent, and people were like, it's the DJ, it's the event organizer, it's the day. Only the artist has the exclusive right to do that. If you want to perform any of the acts that are exclusive to you, you need to get a consent, you need to get permission, you need to get license, authorization, which has to be in writing. You also have the right to distribute copies of the work to the public. So when an artist decides to go into a distribution agreement with someone, it doesn't give that person the authorization to sublet or go into another agreement with a third party to actually distribute, unless the agreement expressly states that he can do anything to make sure that his music is being distributed XYZ. But yeah, talk to your entertainment lawyer, or just follow all the entertainment lawyers, both in Nigeria, in Africa, globally, so you're informed on what is really happening. Because I think that's how, no, I think that is how I learn or get to know information about the various industries that I actually have interest in. You have the right to reproduce your work. You know, we had a case like that a few months ago this year, where someone was calling out a famous artist for reproducing their work. Then you have the right to display your work to the public. You have the right to perform the work publicly by means of digital audio transmission. You also have the right to prepare derivative work based on the copyrighted work. So I've listened about six rights that entertainers have. So don't let anyone deceive you that you can't do much. Like, nah, nothing there. Nah, lie. Then one cheat you. They want to they want to take advantage of you, basically. Don't let anyone do that. So once you are informed and they know that, oh, this person is well educated, or he has an idea about how things work, they'll kind of go back to the negotiation table with you. Just go back to the drawing board and try to scratch and add and delete, and the rest of them. So about wrapping up, I just want to talk about benefits of registering your copyright. One, for documentation purpose, and also it creates like a public record of your work. So you are an artist or a Nigerian artist. Yeah, I was going to say you're an artist in Nigeria or based in Nigeria. We operate, like I said, depository method. So which is what the first benefit is talking about: documentation purpose and having public record of your work. If you're in the US, you guys go register. Whichever jurisdiction you're, just find out what is applicable in your country. You also have the right to sue a third party for using your copyrighted work, which in this case is your music or your trademarks. Just sue the infringer for using your intellectual property, be it a copyrighted work or your sound mark, without your consent. I already said that already. In the US, it's mandatory that you do a registration. And amongst all the intellectual property, copyright is the only one that grants you an automatic protection. Trademark, design rights, patent, the other ones, registration is very important. Very, very important. Now, in Nigeria, you can institute an action at the Federal High Court and get remedies for that infringement. I'm a out of court dispute resolution practitioner. I'd rather we settle out of court. So all the negotiation, mediation, arbitration, although arbitration is more for commercial dispute, but then depends on how big your entertainment dispute, you might opt for arbitration. I know, or I recall, sometime in 2019, I always like to reference this because it's like my go-to when I'm talking about resolving intellectual property related dispute as it affects the entertainment industry. The famous Blackface and Two-Face case, they've been battling the whole who owns African Queen, and just a trip to the Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse. The case was settled for an undisclosed sum and undisclosed terms of settlement, because it's a confidential process or proceeding. We also have the Rivers. I'm based in Port Harcourt, so I'm going to talk about our Rivers State Multi-Door Courthouse. You guys should please patronize us. Instead of going to court, if you have a contract and it's said that you can opt for mediation, please, if you're in Rivers State, use the Rivers State Multi-Door Courthouse. If you're in Abuja, use the Abuja State Multi-Door Courthouse. If you're in Lagos, use the Lagos State Multi-Door Courthouse or the Lagos Court of Arbitration or the Regional Center, and anywhere that you are, just find out, do they have like an arbitration institute or a multi-door courthouse that we can go and resolve our dispute. And with the pandemic and digital era now, you have online dispute resolution mechanism. So you are basically going to be having or resolving your dispute via a virtual platform, But yeah, I had made reference to, so I have I think, yeah, Mark Jaffe has a special place in my heart. Mark J. Kings, that's his Twitter handle. He had a special place in my heart because when there was this, the Nicki Minaj Tracy Chapman case. I was really racking my head. I was like, how am I going to talk about this? How do I, just trying to figure out how I could explain it or break it down. And I was like, I'd rather just talk to someone that's based in the US to give the proper education as it applies to their jurisdiction, because I'm based in Nigeria. I'll definitely give you the Nigerian flavor, give you an African flavor, because I'll definitely do my research. I would have done the US, but I felt it was a complicated case that needed someone within that territory to give us an inside view or opinion about the case. So I reached out to Mark, and Mark Jaffe was gracious enough to come on my podcast and talk about it. So he was my first guest, my very first guest, and he has also been very helpful. I'm not marketing him, but I'm just appreciating. So why I'm talking about Mark is because he made a publication about it. He was like, the Pitbull trademark story calls attention to an important rule of trademark reporting. Always ask trademark for what, so you don't forget. Just ask Lil Jon. So Lil Jon sang "Turn Down" for what? So it's like trademark for what? So if you're going to trademark anything, just ask, what is the trademark for? So you are rather specific. You don't have an ambiguous registration. We had the recent Oga Sabinu's case where people were like, oh, he's not supposed to register in that class, he registered in the wrong class, blah, 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 blah. Talk follow, sha. But I'm sure you guys get my gist so far. And yeah. In conclusion, Jare, my final words for entertainers is that you guys please explore intellectual property, because if you look at yourself from have a long-term goal, okay, where do I see myself in the next 5 to 10 years? IP, which is like an intangible asset, is what will put you out there. If you have the right team, if you have the right strategies, if you brand yourself well, you're not breaching contracts. We have someone that was arrested somewhere in Tanzania because he breached his contract, and that was not the first time he's doing that. So yeah, you need to take all of this seriously. Your contracts, your knowledge, explore all forms of commercialization. So other than the music, what else are you doing? I mean, the likes of Jay-Z are not releasing singles every now and then because, apologies if you heard that. They're not releasing music every now and then because they've delved into other businesses that are generating revenue for them. I know I watched the BET award this year, and Sean Combs, so it's Love Sean Combs, yeah, aka Puff Daddy, yeah, he was recognized. I can't remember his award now, but he gave him that. They kind of just appreciated his contribution to the entertainment industry, and he's doing other things other than singing. I know he has a son that is also a musician right now, but as an artist, you have to have long-term goals for yourself. Are you going to sing for the rest of your life? Some people sing up until they're like really, really old, because they are always inspired. You also have to look at the prospect of also collaborating with other artists. I mean, Afrobeat now is going global. I think I'm over talking. Pardon me, guys, but yeah, collaborate, partner, do features, commercialize your work. I know Rema had his song featured in the FIFA 21 soundtrack. A lot of things. Then if you watch Isoke, I think Isoke is one of my, last 5 years, is one of my favorite Nigerian movie. They had a lot of original songs that were synced. If you also follow the recent Bridgerton case, the unofficial music, I have a podcast on that. Not making promises, but there's a write-up coming up. Podcasts and Twitter version, not so sure. But it tells you that the world is evolving, the music industry is evolving. You need to think further than, oh, just I get inspiration, make a write something, come and enter studio. You get, so get. Other than creating songs, if you're going to sample anybody's song, sound, whatever it is in your album, please get consent, permission, authorization. It's very important. Make sure it's also in writing. I know when Burna Boy releases his Love Damini, there are a lot of conversation that he had used someone else's, sampled another person's song, used just, same thing with Beyonce for her recent album where my major, yeah. So that issue came up as well, and then she had to pull it down, and the rest is history. So why the entertainment industry is big, let's know the business. Because if an investor who is like a record label comes to sow a seed in your life, now business at the end of the day, and it needs his return of investment. So think about it, review your document. We had the case of, I think I'm referring to a lot of people, but yeah, the Fat Joe's case. I have a podcast about that where I talk about it. I did a Twitter series and a little bit conversation about that on LinkedIn as well, where someone was paid off all the way up, was paid off, signed something on a napkin, and the song blew and he went, oh, you got all those kind of thing. But from the commercialization aspect, if you think your name is unique enough, please do a trademark registration. Create merch, like Copy did, like Burna Boy did. The monster you made, that was a fantastic idea. But I have a few comments about that too, because I think now I'm ranting, but this is just me wrapping up. But yeah, if someone asks you to like do something, be very careful. Make sure it's properly documented. Use it as well. For one thing, I didn't talk about trademark, is that for trademark you have to consistently use that mark. So you notice that Pitbull has been consistently using his Grito EL since 2002. This is 12 years already. As at 2020 it was 10 years. So that's consistent. He has been consistently doing that, and you have to do it. Use it in for commercial purpose. So you don't just rest and go and rest. Then you also have to pay renewal fee. Please find out what it takes to do your renewal in your jurisdiction. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to me talk today about intellectual property, about those sexy bald Pitbull. I'm not insulting him or anything. No, I like him, and I like guys with bald hair and beards and all of that. But you got appreciate God's word. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to me talk today. I hope you learned a word or two, learned something. If you did, please share. If you did not learn to, please send me voice notes, tell me, I did not understand this, or I didn't get it, so that I will give you my feedback and thoughts on what you're asking for. You guys ever know what happened? But yeah, thank you. I just want to say thank you guys for listening to me ramble and talk about intellectual property, giving you the Nigerian flavor, African flavor, just to spice things up a bit. But thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Don't forget that the journey to the 100th episode is still ongoing. We are 27 episodes shy of the 100th episode. I can't wait. I'm working on something, but I do not want to talk about it so much so I don't end up doing it. But yeah, we are hoping that by the end of 2022, I would have hit the 100th episode mark on Anchor, which is where I record my podcast. So yeah, thank you. Like, share, come back next episode, which is going to be another exciting throwback series. And see you next time. Bye guys. Mwah.